Hello. Today, before we get started on other material, I wanted to talk a little bit about the test coming up next week and what is going to be on it. So, the way in which I want you to study, you've got a lot of practice problems at your disposal. And I talked about this with the other class and we generated this page. So, since I'm not going to be live with you, I did want to share this with you. So the first thing I recommend you do is go back through OneNote and identify the different types of problems that we worked from each section, so that you have an idea of what could possibly be on the test. So we started with exponent rules, which we built on as we went throughout the chapter. We also talked about direct and indirect variation. The whole reason we did this was that built up for when we just talked about applications with half-life and with population growth. We saw those come back using that constant of variation. We also talked about inverse functions, graphing them, and also the domain and range. We talked about solving exponential equations, and it may be down a little bit later, but we also solve log equations as well. We talked about exponential growth. We also expanded and condensed logs. There were several rules for logs that we learned that we incorporated as we continued to build on that. We also did graphs and transformations of both logs and exponents. I think I have solving log equations twice, but we did that. And then obviously we had our applications or our word problems where we had investments with compound interest, whether it was compounding several times throughout a year or whether it was compounding continuously. Make sure you know those formulas. We also had some half-life problems and population growth. So it's a pretty big list of topics that we've covered, but make sure you go through OneNote. There are definitely problems that we didn't get to in the class notes. Pull them out. You can create your own test to test yourself and make sure that you understand how to work these problems. Mix all the problems together so that you can recognize what to do when it's not just one section at a time. I've also got, you've got your notes, you've got warm-ups we've done at class, obviously homeworks, quizzes. There are some Delta Maths out there for extra practice, and I've given you all some extra handouts as well. And obviously you can always use the Wiley Plus online textbook. The big thing is that you work problems to make sure you're understanding the material and that you can do it when you're faced with this amount of information. The other thing I want to point out, this page that you're viewing right now is in the content library. And if I also go in the content library, I did add 2 more pages. One of them is right here. It's one of those that has kind of like the silly little riddle where you're condensing logs, and you can see the answer over on or you pick the answer over on the right hand side and it gives you a little saying. And the answer key is down below that. The other page that I put out here was just some links to the MathBits Notebook website where you can work some log equations or exponential equations. And I like this website because when you click on the solution, it will show you how it's worked out step by step. It doesn't just give you the final answer. So those are some good resources as well, in addition to everything else that I have given you so far. So once you finish the warm-up for today, you'll go in and watch the next screencast about the lesson for next chapter. The next screencast will not be on the test, but I'm going to watch the screencast and you'll have some information to do along the way.